How's it going? What I'm about to say needs a little bit of protection, and I feel like I probably need to be a bit further away from you because I might get some blowback. So I'm just gonna... Okay, I think this is far enough. I'm still gonna whisper this though. Why don't we give men just a bit of a break?
Aphrodite.
Hey, welcome to Aphrodite. Is it safe for me to come closer? Okay, cool. So you may be wondering why I'm in this random field. Basically, I've been working from home for the last week and I'm starting to get serious cabin fever. So I thought, let's come outside, get some fresh air, and actually it's a really nice day today. So I thought if I'm going to talk to you guys about anything, it should be in a wonderful, beautiful field like this. Now, I'm so glad that you saw the title of this video and decided to still watch on, because I'm assuming you know what I'm about and you weren't going to be too offended. But this is what I'm thinking about. There's a saying making the rounds at the moment: you shouldn't applaud a fish for swimming. And it's usually used in the context of applauding men and fathers for doing what they should be doing anyway, and especially doing things that women and mothers have been doing for generations. So why should we applaud men for doing those things? They should be doing it anyway. Now, at first glance, it actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you look at the world that we live in, it's not great for women. That's just a fact. If you look at the fact that they're not safe, that they're not able to thrive, that they're not treated equally or fairly, and that they still carry the vast majority of mental load and the vast majority of unpaid labor is still done by women, it's easy to see why someone would say, hey, if a man is almost approaching what a woman is doing anyway, there should be no congratulations. We shouldn't make a big deal out of it. We shouldn't go onto Instagram and say, look how amazing this man is, because look at the woman next to him that's doing the exact same thing, completely unnoticed and without any sort of applause. But like most things that look really simple at first glance, I think there's a lot more complexity and nuance behind the statement. Before I do that though, there's something awesome about Cape Town when it's just about to be spring. This is an old bowls field and it's just completely overtaken by these wildflowers. They're so pretty, just yellow and beautiful, and makes you feel a bit fresh and lovely. I better go back to my spot because this is Claremont and you never know, there might be some people who want to steal my stuff. Now I want to be clear, I'm not entirely arguing against the statement. I'm not arguing against the idea that we shouldn't be applauding men for doing what they should be doing anyway. But I do think that there's space for some grace, maybe. Because if you take a look at that statement, you shouldn't applaud a fish for swimming. What if that fish is the first fish ever to swim in his family? What if that fish comes from a long line of fish that walked on land and was like, hey, that water looks pretty great, but I'm not going to go anywhere near there? What if this is the first fish to try and teach itself how to swim? Surely, okay, then you would say, okay, fish, not bad. Keep going, but not bad. So I hope the point I'm trying to make is fairly obvious, but if not, we have this generation of fathers that are the first generation of guys who are trying to be engaged men. No. Why are bikes so loud? How are they allowed to be that loud? I don't get it. We have a generation of men who don't have great examples of fatherhood themselves. So if you want to be an engaged father, if you want to be a good dad, if you want to live in an equal household where you share the mental load or where the actual unpaid labor gets shared equally between yourself and your partner, those are all things that this generation of men have to teach themselves. It's not something that they have seen in society around them. It's not something that they have been taught by their fathers before them. At least that's for a lot of people's experience. And that is pretty impressive. If you're coming from almost no idea how to do this and you're slowly teaching yourself along the way to be better, surely that deserves some applause. And sure, obviously, not all of the fathers of my generation and not all the men of my generation are doing this work. They're not teaching themselves anything and they're happy for the status quo to remain, which is really sad. And I am doing my best to fight against that. And I'm hoping that any man who watches Aphrodite is on this journey himself. That's why he's here. But truly those guys who are trying, no matter how imperfectly, deserve some applause, some appreciation, some praise, in a small way. I think the reality is people are scared that if we applaud a man for doing a little bit better than the men before him, or a little bit better than he did previously, that he'll just go, cool, my work here is done. I don't need to be improved in any way, shape or form. I am the best man there ever was. And I don't think that's the case. I think if we do it correctly, I think we can actually get men to go, oh, wait a second, improving is better. Becoming a better man is better. I feel good when I do it. People around me feel good when I do it. Let's see how far I can go with this. So yes, I think in some circumstances, we should applaud a fish for swimming if it's the first time that fish or any of the fish around it has done something like that. But we shouldn't say, well done fish, you've peaked, now never do it again, or don't get even better at swimming. We should say, well done, your journey starts now, get better. So maybe today you could think about, I don't know, looking at the men around you, maybe at your partner or the father of your children, and try to see the little bit of good in there. Maybe, hopefully there's a lot of good, and commend him for that. Don't do it just to say, hey, you're perfect just the way you are, but rather go, hey, there's this thing that you do or this way you behave is amazing. I would love to see more of that kind of man. Oh, and by the way, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't call men out on their crappy behavior, right? If they're not pulling their weight, or if there are places where they can do better, call them out on that and tell them about it. And if you're a man and you see other men around you not living up to a decent standard, pull them up to your standard. And then all of us can be better together. You know, that rising tide raises all ships kind of thing. This isn't just about giving men a break. This is about helping men to be better, because when men are better, we all do better. Thank you so much for watching this Aphrodite episode. I have to go and pick up my kids now. I'll see you soon. Aphrodite out.
I love Aphrodite.